The idea of creating a motorcycle covered with real tattoos came to me about 10 years ago. I'm tattooed myself, and I think people have tattoos in order to express their character, just as they paint their motorcycles in a way fitting to who they are and what they like. Some people like skulls, others like flames, and they show that through their bikes. It's been known for a long time that leather can be tattooed, so one day I thought, why not? Let's cover the whole bike in leather and ink it. The bike's concept relates to a long-standing biker tradition. In the turbulent post-war era in America, many bikers led a life on the edge of the law. That's why we called this bike the Recidivist. It was supposed to be completely covered in tattoos and look like a living creature, a person with very strong character who values individuality and a sense of freedom. To give this bike a very specific old-school style, we had to create the frame from scratch. To relate the bike's construction to the original idea, we couldn't make just a regular frame, so we made it to resemble the shape of the human spine, which nicely fits with the tattoos covering the human body. All these things then had to be fit into the design of the fuel tank. The challenge was to have a modern fuel injection engine with a computer, but have it still look like an old-school bike with a carburetor. We had to find a way to hide all the electronics, cables, computer, fuel pump, and everything else. In order to create the tricky fuel tank, we started by forming it out of styrofoam. This was a much better option than first building it in metal, as metal is much more difficult to work with. We fit it to the bike in a 1-to-1 scale. Then we looked at it from all possible angles and evaluated how it all fit and looked. Once the styrofoam tank was ready, we moved on to another material, wood. With wood, we could create a form that could be put into the final steel rendition. So we cut the styrofoam into small pieces, replicated the shapes in wood, polished it all up, and made one side of a fuel tank, then mirrored that, which eventually gave us the completed tank. One part of the tank is for fuel, while the other part is where you installed all the electronics, maintaining the overall look of a traditional fuel tank. In the next stage, we covered the whole bike in elements related to the criminal underworld. We started with the gear shift, which is an infamous suicide shifter made from a crowbar. The clutch and brake levers are formed in the shape of butterfly knives. The brake pump lever is in the shape of a symbol used in legal code. The front brake calipers look like handcuffs. We drew them in a 1-to-1 scale. Then we designed it on a computer and put it into a CNC milling machine, which milled the calipers out of aluminum. The ready part looked like brand new, but we treated it with a burner and basically destroyed it so that it would look old. This was done on purpose because the bike is supposed to look like it already has a rap sheet. The bike's front suspension looks like a traditional old-school coil tattoo machine. We didn't want to cover it with anything, so we took 2 pistons and wrapped them with copper wire, imitating coils from a traditional machine. Inside there are pistons, springs, even hardness regulation, but we had to fit it in a way so that its looks would resemble that of a traditional coil tattoo machine while being a fully operational trapezoidal bike frame. Other themed elements of this bike are the knuckle duster, which functions as the rear lamp, and the Kickstarter, which is in the shape of a bomb detonator. The icing on the cake is the exhaust pipe, which not only looks exactly like a Cheyenne brand tattoo machine, but also works the same way. The pipes contain tattooing needles, and when you start the bike, the exhaust fumes make the needles mimic those of a tattoo machine. When we started covering the bike with leather, I realized just how large an area I'd have to tattoo. It would be impossible to be done by one person, so I invited 2 artists from 2 Polish tattoo studios and a representative from Cheyenne, which makes very modern, I'd say even futuristic tattoo machines. This suited the bike perfectly, and some of those machines were even used to make parts for the bike.
When we heard about the idea of building a motorcycle that should combine the 2 worlds of tattooing and biking, we were directly interested in this project. And the fact that the bike will get tattoos on its leather skin made it perfect for us. When I saw the bike for the first time at GOC in Poland, I was speechless for a couple of minutes, and we started with the first conversations about the bike, the to-dos, the further process very quickly, but I tried to sneak away in every free minute to get back to the bike and just look on it. It wasn't finished at that time, but there were already a lot of small details on it, and from that point we were sure that it will be a great project, great bike and a great piece of art.
We are very proud to be part of the Cheyenne Bike project, and we want to thank Game Over Cycles for giving us the chance to get involved.
In total, to build this bike, it took over 3,000 man-hours, and the tattooing itself lasted over 250 hours. I like new challenges. I like to face things which at the start seem impossible or very difficult to do. And this project was that kind of challenge. Working on this bike was a cool experience and a learning process. Both of us complement each other on doing it together. We tried various techniques on how to apply ink on such a raw and hard material as leather. It's not the same as with human skin. The tattooing of this bike is as important as tattooing a client's skin, because in each case, you only do it once. The whole bike is covered in over 4 square meters of tattooed leather. All the tattoos are coherent and relate to the criminal theme. There's only one tattoo which doesn't really suit the bike. It's a card with a piece of H.R. Geiger's art placed on the fuel tank. It was very important to me to have it on the bike because Geiger is an artist who inspires me when I build my bikes. That means a lot to me.
I po prostu jest to dla mnie ważne.
To stress the bike's uniqueness even more, we chose the prestigious tattoo convention in London as the location for its unveiling. The last and the biggest tattoo shows Themis sitting on an electric chair. We decided to tattoo it live during the London show. It took more than 40 hours over 2 days for 2 tattoo artists to make it, but this way the audience could see how hard it was.
I'll tell a few words about the bike, but I think it would be the best to do it when you actually see it, so I can ask Sasha and the guys to uncover it. We cannot start the bike here, but if we started the bike, the needles are actually moving just like in a tattoo machine.
Lots of people gathered around our stand. Event visitors, media reporters, even other tattoo artists who were doing tattoos during the event. Everybody was amazed. It was sort of a sensation. Of course, there were artists from all over the world and a large number of amazing tattoos, but a tattooed bike, being tattooed live on stage, this was the only one. Shortly after that, the buzz around the bike began. The press started writing about it. The bike got featured on the covers of Bike, Tattoo, and daily magazines all over the world. There are thousands of photos on the internet and a number of TV news reports. The Recidivist is the world's first tattooed motorcycle, so I think the buzz around it has only just begun.